once you accept the fact that you're probably not going to make everybody happy, that there will be some level of disappointment, recognizing that I can't make everyone happy. I can't balance everything. So it has to be a hierarchy. It's Monday. We're here. Excited to talk all things life, family, marriage, kids, following Jesus, all the wonderful things in our life.
I'm cozy.
Yeah, we had a cold front move in.
Cold front is crazy.
Cold front. I was watching the Bears game yesterday, and there was snow flurries. And I was like, I wish there were snow flurries in Texas.
Ski sweatshirt, ski Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I've never skied Jackson Hole, but
you got it. You got the T-shirt.
I bought it in faith.
One day.
It was like a faith statement.
So today we're talking with the holidays coming up and Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're not talking Christmas and Thanksgiving, but oftentimes when Thanksgiving and Christmas come up, it brings into the conversation how, your family does extended family relationships. And like, okay, we're all hanging out together. Are we organizing something together? So let's start fun and light. And let's talk about maybe some of the like extended family traditions you've had with your home. I'll start to give you time to think.
Okay.
So every year we would have a family reunion. And on my dad's side, it was the Morris Wood family reunion. And we used to go to Tyler, Texas, a state park. And it happened every October. And they would rent out a pavilion in the state park. And my grandfather's siblings had RVs. And so they would park their RVs in this state park. And what was crazy is like people would show up to this family reunion, and I guess we were family, but I had I didn't know there would be like 100 people there sometimes. And I remember there would always be a horseshoe tournament. And there would always be a washer tournament. You ever played washers?
I have one time at your family reunion.
But have you played washers before?
No.
Okay. I don't know if people know what washer. Have you ever played washers? Okay. It's a little tin cup about the size of like a golf cup, like a golf hole, right? About 3.5 inches. And you have these little metal washers. And it's kind of like cornhole, but with metal washers. It felt like it's totally like a Depression era game. They found out that we got no money, we're broke, let's play washers. And so you stand a certain feet apart and you have teams and you try to throw it in. If you get it in the cup, if you have a leaner, right, where it's like not quite in.
Is the cup in the ground?
It's in the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the ground, and then you have closest to. And so you would always want to like get them in.
Yeah, so it's kind of like cornhole.
But we would, like, everybody would make food. I remember everybody would make like crafts. They would make things.
There was an auction.
And there would be an auction that then that money would go to the next year's family reunion. And I think it's died down. I don't think, like, we haven't been in years. I don't know if it's still going on.
We went one time. We were not even married yet. Were we engaged or almost engaged?
I don't know.
But yeah, we went, and then we used to get like formal invitations in the mail. Yeah. I think they stopped inviting us because we didn't come.
Well, what was it like we
should have gone.
What was your first?
We had one family reunion my whole life growing up. We didn't do family reunions. I don't know why. We went to South Texas went to the Valley every Christmas to visit my grandparents because that's where they lived, and my uncle and cousins, and then my other uncle and cousins would come. But we didn't have a lot of like we got together a lot and saw each other, but we didn't have like family reunions every year. Yeah. It was more so around the holidays.
Well, are you pro like not having family reunions? Like, are you someone who's like, there should be family reunions?
I think it would be fun.
What's like an ideal family reunion for you?
Not every year. I think that's a little much. But I think every other year, I love the idea of going to like a state park and everybody brings their RVs. I don't want to stay in an RV, but like if everybody had their own hotel room.
Yeah, at a resort.
If we went to a resort and everybody had their own hotel room and we did that every other year, and it was like everybody, extended family, cousins, and everybody came.
You would love that.
I would love it.
We used to have pine cone wars. So all the boys would go into like East Texas is like lots of pine trees, wooded area. And the boys, we would have full on like pine cone wars. So where the game was literally just if you threw a pine cone and hit somebody, that person's out. But if you found the real dense pine cones before they spread out, and if you've ever touched a pine cone, you know they're spiky. And so I can remember we would play cousins versus cousins.
Pine cones are spiky?
Oh yeah, on the edges, on the outside, on each there's like little points on the pine cone. And if you get a real dense one that hasn't opened up yet, you could sling that thing. There were some headshots that happened. Just boom.
When I think of pine cone, I think of like the ones you buy at Hobby Lobby around like Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, those have opened up too much.
Okay.
And
so they're like closed. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
they had just the pine cones. They slowly start to open when they fall on the ground, and then it releases the seeds. But if they open up too much, the wind catches them. Oh, there's aerodynamics involved in this, where you would try to like zip one and get somebody. I mean, if you got them and it hurt, it was you won. It was a good thing.
I think that a lot of people find tension after they get married, trying to merge family gatherings, or like we can't go to everybody's both family reunions this year. So who do we pick and who do we choose? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think a lot of couples don't do that. They try to do everything, right? They try to like, okay, we've got to do your thing. We got to do your thing. And everybody has to be equal share. And then what ends up happening is it's like you just are exhausted and you end up disappointing everybody because it's like, well, I went to your thing for, this long and I went to your thing for this long. And it feels like everybody loses. Both families lose and we lose because we had to make everybody happy. One of the first things that we did was we just set up like an alternating year. So like my family would get Thanksgiving and then your family got Christmas, right? And
so everybody gets a big holiday.
Everybody gets a big holiday, and it was kind of like, hey, we're not going to make it. And if we do, it's for a short like stop in. But I think that's like that. I think that's the tension, is trying to fit everything in. What do you think?
I think you forget when you get married that you're now creating your own family and your own family traditions. And so naturally, I'm not a grandparent yet. And I don't have kids that are married. So I don't understand the feeling of like, when you get married, you leave and you cleave and you're like, oh, you're forgetting about us. So I don't understand that tension. But I understand like it's very emotional and you feel like you've kind of like lost somebody. Like your child to like this other person, but you have to start your own traditions and doing your own family things. And now your husband or your wife is your immediate family. And now the family that was your immediate family is now your extended family. Yeah. And that's hard to navigate. But I think it's important to establish your own, like, this is our family and this is what we are doing. And it does get tricky because you hurt people's feelings in the process and you don't mean to, but and then kids come along and that's a whole nother.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So how do you do that when it comes to navigating the emotional side, right? The emotional side of trying to honor your family or honor your spouse's family while still trying to go, but what are the new kind of traditions that we're trying to create around family and the rhythms and all those types of things? How do you balance that honor and then I want to honor you and, not just cut you off, but I do have to rebalance my life a little bit. How do you navigate those emotions? Well,
you aren't responsible for other people's emotions, number one. So there can be like, and that's hard because you want to be sensitive. But I think at first it's inviting them into your new traditions, I don't feel like we established a lot of our own traditions at the beginning.
No.
And that's not a bad thing. We just didn't really care.
Well, we didn't have kids yet. And we were newly married and it was like, this is easy. We can drive.
We've also lived apart from our families almost our whole, when our kids were little. And so we would drive and do all of that. And we realized like, okay, this is a lot. and there is a time where it becomes like, okay, it's a lot, and our kids, I know our kids want to be home for the holidays or whatever, but I think it's communication, number one. Like, what are your expectations of us? And not that we're trying to meet those expectations, but we do want to try to manage them, because I don't want to catch you off guard and disappoint you, but I'm just letting you know, hey, this is what our family is doing for this birthday party for this kid. Would love for you to be involved in here, but
if you can't, we totally get it.
But I think communication is key in helping manage expectations and those emotions, because I don't know what you're expecting of me or what you feel a certain way. And not that I can meet every need, but I do want to talk through them. And hear what you're expecting, so I can let you know, hey, we're not doing X, Y, and Z, and I don't want you to be surprised by that.
But I think that's the biggest challenge is like once you accept the fact that you're probably not going to make everybody happy, that there will be some level of disappointment, and it's not personal, it's kind of eventual because of the fact that, hey, I just got married. I now have my own family, and recognizing that I can't make everyone happy. I can't balance everything. So it has to be a hierarchy. There has to be a priority, and the priority should be theoretically my own family and developing those things and those traditions, those moments, those seasons where, where you grow as a family and where you remember things and where you have special, significant time.
But I don't like disappointing people. So that's hard.
Well, then how have you overcome that?
I don't think I have. I still have a lot of heartburn about disappointing people. But it's gotten easier as we've had kids, because it's like, it doesn't seem as selfish when it's like just you and me, and it's like, no, this is what we want to do for our family. Well, your family is just the two of you. Like,
get over it.
Yeah. But now it's like, no, I have kids. And
okay, so is that a good filter then for maybe couples who are like, we don't have kids yet, so couples without kids can be the most flexible.
Totally.
Right? And be the most accommodating. And when couples without kids are rigid, does that look, I don't know, is that kind of one of those things where it's like a little self-indulgent? Yeah. Like in the early days of your marriage, like be okay being around family because you don't have, it's just you two?
I think, but that's how we navigated it. Like we didn't have all of these like traditions that we had to do just the two of us.
No.
And we didn't care.
Right.
So, but other people might, but I do feel like it's a little self-indulgent. Like you have, like for us, I talk about like Christmas is one of them. We like to be home Christmas morning. And that was, we didn't do that when our babies were little. No. Because they didn't know. They didn't wake up and come to the Christmas tree. But then we were like, no, we want to be home Christmas morning. We'll travel later that day, or you can come and join us, but we want to be home Christmas morning. But I think as couples without kids, when you have there's other days of the year you can do stuff alone. And I don't know, I think it is a little bit selfish, but I feel like that's mean to say.
I don't think it's mean to say. I think it's just our perspective.
Like to be mean.
I think it's our perspective that we've lived, right? When our life was more responsibility free, we were willing to travel and do all the things for everybody, and we could do that. But then, outside of just the holidays, there is just like that family dynamic where my family now becomes your family and your family now becomes my family, but we don't have that history together. So like what happens when you don't like my family or I don't like your family? Yeah. I'm not saying that that's our situation. Yeah. I'm just saying for couples who navigate that, like I don't get along.
Yeah. You do marry into the family, but that is not your family. Yeah. Like that is the extended family. And so you don't love them the way I love them. I don't love them the way you love them. Yes, you marry into the family. Like I marry you and I get all of this. Yeah. Same with me. Good, bad, ugly, whatever. but you are now my family. And I think a lot of couples forget that. And that's where tension rises, because there is an element of leaving and cleaving to each other. And I can't run. I think that's why it was so good for us to move away, is like when we first got married, like I didn't run to my family with all of my problems because they don't know you the way I know you and love you the way that I love you. Right.
Well, they're going to take your side.
Yes, as they should. Because I was probably right. But anyways, I think a lot of couples forget that. Like, yes, I'm marrying you. And so with you comes along brother, sister, whoever. But I didn't actually marry them. So they don't get a say into
our relationship,
our marriage, our traditions, what we do. Just because we're family and we're related doesn't mean I am obligated to what you think your the family tradition should be.
I'm not
or have
obligated to those expectations.
Yes, I'm not obligated to your expectations. I want to be kind and nice and respectful. And I think a lot of couples forget that, especially women, because
it's assumed.
And like, well, this is what my family does and we've always done it. And so this is what we're going to do.
Well, I think that's one of those like hidden booby traps in a marriage is when you get married and then there's this extended family expectation, like my family, every Sunday we get together for family meal.
Yeah.
Or my family always spends Labor Day together, or, you know, my brother always comes to the house, right? It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this is just what we do. And I was definitely the type that I was much more independent. You were probably closer to your family than I was to mine. I'm really close to my brother. Obviously I love my sister and my parents, love them, but relationally you were more connected to your family than I was. And I think when I first got married, I did not realize how important those relationships were to you. And so I definitely stepped in some booby traps. So I think that's one of those like defining conversations to have as a couple is when it comes to your extended family, how important is that relationship? Now that does not mean that it has to stay within the boundaries of those definitions.
Right. Because we're forming our own family.
That's what I was getting to. It'll help you form your own family if you fully understand where your spouse's expectations are around extended family. Yeah. Because what'll happen is you'll make mistakes and then they will cling to the thing that they value most because they don't see sometimes what you're forming together. And so they'll go to what is known. Yeah. Which then usually puts one spouse kind of on the outside a little bit, like, okay, we're doing your thing. And then that just creates, and again, in an ideal situation, you would think that attitudes and heart posture is right, but oftentimes it creates an environment where one spouse feels disengaged. They feel like, I don't really like this. And then they have a bad attitude the whole weekend. Right. And then it's like, then there's the fight on the way home of like, why were you like not talkative? And why were you not nice? And why were you like, you were just sitting there, not even making an attempt to get to know my family.
That's why I think, and I was just talking to Lewis about this on Sunday, about pre-marriage counseling and different assessments you can take to get to know each other before. You and I had an unfortunate pre-marriage counseling 2 sessions. They were not helpful.
Yeah, they were terrible.
We did the assessment and the assessment was helpful. I can't remember what our assessment was called though, but it basically shows you where your pitfalls will be in marriage, what you could disagree on or agree on. And so our counselor just read those to us. And I remember him looking at me and being like, you have an unrealistic view of what marriage is going to be. I'm like, right, I'm 21. I don't know what I'm about to get into. Every girl has an unrealistic view of what marriage is going to be. And then he read through our assessment and it was like, you're going to struggle with this. You may struggle with this, but there was no tools to actually like when we struggle with that, what do we do? Like, how do we take 2 opinions and 2 ways of thinking and living for however many years and then come together as one and form still our own opinions, but our own family with that. And so that's why I think pre-marriage counseling and post-marriage counseling right after you get married is so helpful because it identifies some of the pitfalls or booby traps, as you said,
Yeah.
you may have, but then also, okay, how do we navigate those together? That's why I think that is so important. And there's so many good resources out there for people.
And at the core of that, really what it's about is communication. And I think most couples don't even come close to communicating enough, in the sense of oftentimes the communication comes out of an outburst of frustration, or they'll just like swallow it, and because they don't want to get into that again. So oftentimes so many things are left uncommunicated. And that's been our pitfall. That's been our challenge.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I'm not a type A person at all. I'm like, I'm type B to my core, like pretty much like whatever happens is going to happen.
Yeah. You're more go with the flow.
I do like a plan, but if there's not a plan, like just tell me there's not a plan and I'll go with the flow, but I do like a plan. And so we have struggled with our communication because I want to know what the plan is. Hey, like, or I like to communicate early what booby trap we may be stepping in.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I see this coming up and this may be a problem. Can we talk about it? And you're more like, we'll talk about it when it happens. And then we're in the moment and it's like, I'm like, I could have told you this is going to happen. We could have communicated about this.
Yes, but also
you didn't want to.
My family is the type that doesn't make any plans until all of a sudden they start making plans, and it's like last minute.
Yes. I wasn't even getting into that. I was just getting into like the communication piece of like, I want to communicate before things blow up.
Yeah.
And you're like, we're fine.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be fine. We'll figure it out as it happens.
You feel low grade anxiety going into big moments like that because you're not aware of what's going on or what the plan is. And then all I do is compound on that because I'm like, yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm much more of a spontaneous, like,
but it never gets figured out. And then we're in the moment of the thing happening that I thought was going to happen. And I'm like, we could have avoided this by talking about it, but you didn't want to talk about it.
Well, what I was going to say
this is a counseling session, right?
What I was going to say on the extended family stuff, and especially early on in marriage, and even honestly, what I'm finding now is like, the longer you stay married, the better communicators you should be. And oftentimes marriages are at the same level of communication they were, if not a little regression, because of the pain, because of the frustration, because of the fights. And oftentimes communication is one of those things that I am scared to bring this up because I'm worried that it's going to blow up. And so what ends up happening is you never talk about it and it just festers. And one of those types of things is like extended family. So I would even say when it's okay to talk about like, hey, I know I'm really close with my family, but how do you feel about that? Like, are you cool with that? Like, does anything seem odd? Are you unhappy with anything? Yeah. And then
do you want to go to my family's house every Sunday for
like, is that fun
beef?
for you?
Neither of us do that.
Neither of us do that. But is that fun for you? Do you like that? And then not getting offended when the husband or wife goes, I really don't. But typically what happens is if I go, no, I don't really want to go for roast beef to your family's house every Sunday night. Then the person was like, oh, I love it. Why do you not love it? And I'm like, because I just don't. I don't want your family at my house all the time. I don't want your mom. I'm not saying this about your mom's amazing. I love your mom. Pamela Joy, if you're watching, shout out. My point is, if
you invited us over for dinner though, we would come.
Yeah. If you invited us over for dinner, absolutely. But because the couple can't communicate about really challenging topics, I hear this all the time where one spouse feels like I can't even be honest with them. And this usually triggers around family because there's already the gun's already loaded and it's got a hair trigger because it's emotional. And there's that felt like, what? Like, I love my brother. Why don't you love him as much as I do? Because he's not my brother,
I think there's a lot of different tension points though when people get married and when extended families are involved. And sometimes I see the one spouse is closer to their family, like you've already said, than the other, and the other doesn't feel that way because it's not their family, but then they try to keep the spouse away from their family, which is not healthy.
No.
And so there has to be this level of like, okay, it's my family. I love them. You can't be kept from them, but also there has to be some boundaries with family as well, because like we've said, this is our family now. So I don't want your mom dropping by unannounced every other day. Sorry. I don't want them here every Tuesday when I get off work and they're just on my couch or whatever. Because this is my home. So can we come up with a plan? Like, okay, hey, I invited my family over on this day. They're going to come over. I think there does have to be boundaries, and they don't have to be rigid all of the time, but there does have to be boundaries, because that is not your immediate family anymore. That is now your extended family. And this unit is the immediate family. So we have to come to an agreement. And if we can't come to an agreement, then we have a deeper issue. Somebody is either not, willing to budge on the boundaries with family, or maybe they're not submitting, or there's not like a give and take. Maybe there's a jealousy of like, I'm not close with my family, so I don't want you to be close with your family. I just want it to be me and you.
And that's where insecurity shows up.
Sure.
Insecurity shows up. And typically, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, typically in a man, there may be a myriad of emotions, but they all reveal themselves through anger. Because for a man, a lot of times, just speaking for myself, I don't want to generalize men out there that you might be better emotionally in tune, but I will feel afraid. I will feel inadequate. I will feel insecure. I will feel weak. I'll feel like a loser, but all of those emotions express themselves in anger.
And you won't say that.
No,
you
I
won't
say that.
like, hey, I'm feeling insecure, whatever. You suppress them, and then it comes out. You're angry about
I'm angry that I'm insecure.
Random.
I'm angry that I'm insecure.
Right.
And so I displace that anger onto something else. Okay, let me run a scenario for you. And I guess, how would you navigate this? So let's say we got married, and I want to frame this. Well, I'll do it in a minute. Let's say your family gets together every week on Saturday, and it's brunch, and the family gets together, but I don't want to go. So I go, I don't want to go. Is it healthy for the wife to go, okay, well, I'm going. If you don't want to go, then I'm going to go. And then that happened over and over and over again.
Not over and over and over again. I think it's totally healthy and normal if the husband or the wife is like, I don't want to go to Saturday brunch. You're like, okay, don't go. I'm just going to stay at home and watch football. Okay, well, I don't want to stay at home and watch football, so I'm going to go to Saturday brunch.
Yeah.
I think it becomes a problem when it's like, this is what my family does, and this is what we've always done, so this is what I'm going to continue doing. That's when it becomes a problem. Or if you are saying, I just don't want to go, so I don't want you to go, and we're just sitting at home doing nothing, well, why can't I go to Saturday brunch just because you don't want to go?
What I would say is, a lot of times this is acutely felt within the first 5 years of marriage, because you're used to the traditions and patterns of your family previously, either the traditions or the lack thereof. And if you'll play the long game in marriage, your own traditions and patterns and all those types of things will form over time.
And not be forced.
But here's my thought. Let's say every Saturday, no, I'm watching Man United, Premier League, college footballs, whatever. It's really about soccer.
If Manchester United wants to sponsor Eric Morris.
No, I would love. And glory. I'm the biggest fan. Okay. So here's the thing, though. And you do the family stuff every Saturday. I don't want to. So you do that. Over an extended period of time, I do think that creates a divergence in the family, in our relationship. Because I either have to do what's important to you. So because you love it, I'm going to show up for you. Or I have to think of a third way, which is, hey, our Saturdays are not going to be used every Saturday for brunch. But here's what we'll do. We're going to come once a month. And then the other 3, here's what you and I are going to do. We're going to share that space together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Here's a third option.
fourth. I gave the third option. This is a fourth. one.
Not an option. But I do think it ultimately comes down to, yes, communication, all of that. But what is your heart posture? I think I don't want to go to Saturday brunch. It's not because I don't love your family. I just don't want to spend every Saturday doing that. Yeah. I may want to every once in a while, but the other times I'm around your family, I'm going to be totally engaged. Love it. It's awesome. When you get home, I'm going to be happy to see you. We can go do something later, but I want to watch Saturday football.
Yeah.
It's not because I just don't want to go because that's what your family has always done and I want to forge a new way. Mm-hmm. It can't be that, because that's out of a heart of like, it's like disunity.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just forging a new way because I just want to forge a new way. And I don't want to do what your family has always done. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side, the person has to be like, okay, maybe I don't need to go every Saturday. Like we can do something together.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to like, with what attitude are you doing that with? And
yeah.
what is the goal behind separating yourself from your family mm-hmm. and forging your new way? Or what is the goal behind what's the heart behind going every Saturday?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think, again, you don't have to rush those. You don't have to force that. I think, again, you communicate, you talk about those types of things, and you're being willing to, like, I think the biggest thing is, can my spouse, my wife, say something that could potentially on the surface feel hurtful, but is really just them being honest. And I don't need to react to that so quickly, but try to hear and understand them and then give my perspective on that rather than emotionally reacting. And I think that's the biggest thing is just don't emotionally overreact, because they're probably not saying that because they don't like you, they don't like the family, and they're just trying to throw a wrench in things. They just have a different perspective than you. And I think when you can do that and you can communicate openly and you can receive things that may feel initially like, ow, that's disappointing, or man, I don't really love that you feel that way, but okay, you do. Mm-hmm. And so I either can live in denial on that, or I can lean into that and go, okay, then how do we talk about that mm-hmm. and forge a new way forward? Mm-hmm. And I think, going back to that, we're Christians and we believe in the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit that cultivates and sanctifies and helps you with those types of things. I think that's where it produces patience. It produces a level of patience for your spouse. And especially for like all the husbands in the house, I think the more you can ask the Holy Spirit to enable you, to equip you, to listen, to understand, to be patient and to be kind. I know that's been one of my biggest challenges in moments like this, is because I get emotive, I get defensive, but allowing the Holy Spirit to cultivate in me, going, okay, how can I be an understanding, loving, kind husband? And that's the Holy Spirit's work on the inside of us. So, yeah.
Amen.
Hey, we realize that extended family is a big topic, and there is a ton of things that you could probably, have questions about, or what about this? And we would love to do our best to try to answer some of those. So whether you're responding to this on social media or on YouTube, we would love to hear from you and maybe answer from our perspective, even if we don't have your exact circumstance, some of the questions that you might have. And thanks for listening. If you made it this far, please give us a like, a follow, and you can always check us out on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and then YouTube. Thanks for tuning in to It's Monday.